Here today to welcome Dr. Julie Gaucher, and she is a visiting scholar from the University of Lyon. She completed her PhD in sport literature in 2008, and she's currently a professor of sport history at the University of Lyon. She's also a poet, and she was involved in some of the Cultural Olympiad around histories and creative components going into high schools and a whole range of creative things. So we're very lucky to have her here today. I will now hand over. Her presentation is called A Skirt or a Short. It's time to question the dress codes and clothing injunctions imposed on sportswomen. So I will share her slides and over.
Okay,
Welcome.
thank you, Adele, for this introduction. Hi, everybody. I first would like to apologize because I know that I have very strong French accent and I try to do my best, but I hope you will understand my presentation. So yes, it's entitled A Skirt or a Short. It means that I want to question the injunction on the female uniform in sports. Okay. To introduce my topic, I would like to begin with different example because I think it's relevant. In July 2021, the European Beach Handball Championship took place in Bulgaria. The match for the third place opposed Norway and Spain. And the team of Norway, the female players chose to wear sport bra and short instead of bikini. Before to analyze what's happened because of their choice, I want to show you this image because I think it's very relieving. This is a picture about the official uniform for the male and the female, for the man and the man and the woman. This picture shows the gender difference, very important in the official uniform. According to the International Federation rules, in beach handball, female players had to, and I say had to, wear a bikini. It means that they are not allowed to wear shorts. And the regulation specifies the minimum cutout. The edge of the panty cannot measure more than 10 centimeters. So because the Norwegian female players choose to wear a shirt instead of a bikini, they have to pay a fine. This sanction from the federation received a very, very negative publicity in all media in Europe. It's been in newspaper, on Twitter, the Prime Minister speak about it, different president of federation. And because of this negative publicity, the International Federation has to change the rules. And I think it's very interesting because sometimes in sport we think that we couldn't change the rule, that we couldn't do anything to have gender equality. And this example shows that just some women playing in short can change the rule. It was in October 2021. Another example, this one from gymnastics. In April 2021, the European Artistic Gymnastics Championship held in Switzerland. The German team wore for this competition a full-body leotard. So I make some research to understand because it's not so common to see this kind of wear in a gymnastic competition. But the full-body leotard was allowed by the International Federation since 1993, but it was never used in international competition. I tried to understand why. Actually, in gymnastics, athletes are scored and appearance matters. Many female gymnasts worry they will lose points if they choose to wear a full-body leotard. It's interesting because this team, their leotard was very well commentated, I can say, by the media, and it was very well received by all of the female competitors in 2021. One more example, of course, it was a beach volley. Wearing a bikini was mandatory until 2012. The rule changed in 2012, but to be allowed to not wear a bikini, sportswomen need to have cultural and or religious motivation. It means that the rule doesn't change because of feminist perspective. The goal was clearly to involve new countries like Muslim countries. The other reason is because of the weather. When the weather is too cold, under 15 degrees, they are allowed to wear shorts, but this is the only two reasons. The rule really changed just before the Olympic Games of Paris in 2024. Focusing on this example, and because I'm a historian, I just think that it's very, very contrast. There is a very strong contrast between this image and the one that I know from the historical perspective. So my question is, could it be that the key to understanding this dress requirement lies in their history? In another way, from the beach volleyball courts to gymnastic areas, the dress codes imposed on women in sports continue to spark debate. Perhaps it's time to ask, who set the rules and why? I tried to answer to this question in my last book called Sportive et culottée. There is a word game in the title. It's hard to explain, but you can recognize culotte, the people who wear the pants. And to be culotté, it means to try to take freedom where you are not allowed to do it. I'm going to question this topic necessarily in a historical perspective and in a French context. Is it all for everybody? Can you listen to me? Can you understand? Yes. No one understands? Okay. So to question the women's sportswear, it's look necessary to recontextualize the topic. And I can define three big periods with radical breaks. The first one, around the first injunction, is covering up to respect norm of modesty and gender differences. It used a moral argument to cover the body of a woman. This period is around the end of the 19th century until the First World War. The second period is begin in the 50s, and there is a second injunction. I call it sex sales, revealing the body to attract consumers. It means that it reposes on an economic argument. And the last period, it's happened now, a women's movement aims at reclaiming bodily autonomy. So first movement, covering up, first injunction. At the end of the 19th century, sports in France, but more generally in Europe, is framed as a practice linked to social distinction, class distinction. Sportswomen didn't have to care about performance, and the sportswear fails to support athletic practice or performance. And I give you some example of picture. So they have to cover their body and to confine it. To confine the body with bulky and restrictive clothing like long dress. One of my colleagues have a look, study the illustration of sportswomen in French women magazine during the Belle Époque. The Belle Époque, it's the end of the 19th century to the First World War. And she noted that 11% of sportswomen wearing trousers, bloomers, or we can say long skirts. 14% sportswomen wear skirts at knee height, and 75 wear floor-length dress. During this period, to choose the clothes for practicing sport, the most important is decency versus practicality. And another way to confine the body is to use corset. It was very common in this period for the women from the high social class. So I give you some illustration to show you what is a corset at this moment and what's happened on the body when you wear a corset since a long time, for a long time. Deformation of the spine and of the rib cage, compression of the organs. One of the goals of dress codes imposed on women in sports is to show to women that they have to stay in their place. In French language, it's very strong to say, stay in your place. I don't know if it's the same in English, but it's very, very strong. Well, so what does it mean? It means that they have to respect the traditional gender order and the traditional definition of femininity. It was inside versus outside. It was house versus stadium. It was physical education, and I put some picture for you, versus sport and competition. So they have to leave record and performance to men. The clothing is also a way to keep the sex in their place. And in this perspective, pants, trousers are understood as enemy because they are symbol for gender equality. To wear the trousers, in French, it's an expression that means to be dominant in the couple. I read the first sociology study on this topic entitled La femme en culotte and written by John Grandcasteret at the end of the 19th century. And he said, the novelty, the full revolution, perhaps the greatest reform of our centuries in terms of costumes and ideas is precisely the woman in trousers, born of the bicycle and the triumph of sports. And again, the woman in trousers represents one of the faces, and by no means the least, of the emancipation movement. He collects a lot of pictures published in newspapers at the end of the 19th century in France, but also in Europe. And I just have a selection of some of them. The first one is a representation what will be the woman in the 21st century. And you can have a look, there is all the stereotype of male identity, the trousers, the cigarettes, the hat, and the stick. The other one, woman is wearing trousers and she takes her husband by the nose. There is an expression in France, mener par le bout du nez, take by the nose. It means that you decide everything in the couple. Two other illustrations. I like the first one because we can see like parallelism between the man and the woman, like a symmetry, and there is a cigarette in the middle to make the symmetry. I think this image tries to show that if we don't do anything, if we allow women to wear trousers, there will not be any more difference between man and woman. In France, a law regulating the wearing of trousers. In 1900, a law forbade women of wearing trousers without official permission. But it was reality. Long skirts often got caught in the chain of bicycles, leading to frequent accidents. So they decided to change, to make a modification in the law. And at the end of the 19th century, at the beginning of the 20th century, women are allowed to wear trousers if and only if they are driving a bicycle or getting on a horse. This law is a translation of the fear of gender trouble. We can find in literature a lot of expressions like bicycle, trouser, make women more masculine, make women look viril. In French language appear new neologisms like garçonnisme. You can find garçon, it's a boy, masculinism, virilisme, I don't know if this word exists also in English, but it was new in French language. Sportswomen were not the first to wear trousers. Female artists like a painter Rosa Bonheur or writer like George Sand. Alors, it's funny because she also took a masculine name to be published. Georges in France is a male name, a masculine name. Explorer and anyone. Example of explorer, Gabrielle Vallot and Marie Paillon were two explorers of the mountain, and they tried to change the dress code to explore the French mountain. Marie Paillon was called the dress designer of mountaineering because she tried to invent new dress to be free in the mountain, but also to be in security. Another example, and it comes from US, Annie Londonderry. She went on a round-the-world trip in bicycle at the end of the 19th century, and the first picture show him when she lived from Boston. And they wear a very Victorian dress, not very, very comfortable to practice bicycle. And she understood it very quickly and changed her clothes just a couple of weeks after her departure. During the First World War and in the interwar period in France, but also in Europe, we can speak about a democratization of sports. There is a rise of the number of licensed female members, a rise in the number of the club opening to female members, and a multiplication of international competition for women. So, shorts became the norm on many sport fields. Skirts are getting shorter, and for sure, you are thinking about Suzanne Lenglen, the French tennis player, that make a real strong revolution in the clothes in tennis. After the Second War, in the 50s, the new injunction was to revolve the body to attract consumer. A new media coverage on sports. There is a new media coverage of sport practiced by women. The media, sponsor, and sport brand seek to make it more marketable. Two sociologists from France, Annick Davis and Catherine Louveau, in 1991, analyzed a large corpus of media coverage, photo, article, and more. And they conclude like this graphic. When journal media speak about male athlete, they speak about performance, technical and physical ability, style, strategy, performance, records. When they speak about female athlete, they're writing about body and about beauty. And they try to sexualize the body, focusing on erogenous parts. For women, competing at the highest level in sport carry both symbolic and financial burden. Symbolic, to comply with injunction and prescription of femininity. And I give you an example of Zoé Gros-Piron, French surfer, that is in this perspective. Or financial, if you do not comply with this injunction, you are risking being cut off financial support. And the other example on the top is the one of Silviana Lima. She is a Brazilian, very famous, and not very famous, but very good surfer from Brazil. But she doesn't want to respect the prescription of femininity. And she was out of sponsor for a long time. And she has to pay by herself her competition. The question is, what did the institution do to promote sport for women and gender equality? And I'm going to speak about France. In France, some federations first reinforce the gender stereotypes. They primarily aims to reassure the male audience. And I give you an example. It was a poster for the World Championship of Handball in 2007. And I think I don't have to speak about it. What does it mean, these red shoes and the basket? For me, it's a way to say that female handball players are real women. And this symbol occurs in so many times to promote sport practice by women. Just before this presentation, I just have a look on Google and French small club just to see what they use to promote French sports. And this is the answer. Another example, the French Federation of Football tried to promote soccer for women in 2010. So it was a good initiative, but this is the official poster. They choose a model to promote soccer instead of a female player. And I don't have to explain, but there is a eroticization of the body in the posture of a model. Let's have a look at this one. I translate the message on the poster. If everyone is looking at you, it's not because your mascara is running. So the implicit message, I think, is clear. And this one, just amazing. The French soccer needs more women like Adriana. The only connection of Adriana Carambeu with soccer was her husband because she was married to Christian Carambeu, a famous player. And the question is, who is the target audience of this promotional campaign? Just to be sure that I understood correctly, in an interview, Adriana Carambeu proposed to undress, this is her word, in the stadium to attract spectators. The International Federation of Volleyball explicitly chose a strategy of glamorization to promote beach volleyball. To confirm, and according to a study to Kimberly Bissell and Andrea Duck, it's American researcher, and they make a research of video of beach volleyball during the Olympic Games of Athens in 2004. And they analyzed 20% of the image consists of tight framing on the chest and 17% on the bottom. Just think if we do the same with male volleyball, I think it will be strange. Speak about clothes, it's not just to speak about mode or design, or it's not, can I say futile? No, futile topic. Because it has very strong negative effect of this hypersexualization for the young girls who practice sports. And I don't want to speak too much about it, but just think about the abused. And I'm sure that you heard about the Me Too, the movement Me Too in sports in US, but also in Europe. And I think something happened also in Australia. The last period is a progressive and newly developing awareness. This one was initiated by women athletes. I think it's important to speak about it because sometimes men try to say, we have no conscience of what's happened. No, women begin to speak. And it was in France, a lot of feminists were engaged and think that we need women in leadership role to transform mentality. Because when it's only men in the leadership role in federation, they don't speak about some topic specific from female athletes. And something was moving in the French Federation of Hockey, and I think it's because it's Isabelle Join who is responsible of the federation. I saw that some months ago, something was also better in the Federation of New Zealand of Gymnastics, and Andrea Nelson was responsible of the federation. They allow girls to wear pants on the body, can I say? In 2024, Olympic Broadcasting Service gave instruction of non-discrimination to the cameraman. But it was funny because it was just a few months before the Olympic Games. And I think it will be interesting to analyze what is the difference, because you can't say, do not do any discrimination. But if you do not inform, teach to the cameraman how to do, is there really a changement? I'm not sure. conclude, I think the sport world is politics. It's only on sport field that women and girls are told how to dress. Let's think about school in France, because we haven't got any uniform. And in France, the requirement for proper clothing continue to disproportionately concern girls. There is a constant societal control on women's body and not on men. Thank you.
Very much. I will stop sharing now, and we can take some questions. So you stay there. Thank you. That was fantastic, and I have questions, but we can take questions from online, or if you have questions as well. Laura, I can ask the first question. So there's been quite, that was a fantastic presentation. Thank you. Really important. You did fantastic. It's really, really great. I know a lot of people are very concerned when their daughters are participating in sport and having to wear, very scant clothing and trying to push back and get other types of clothing. My question was around the rise of leisure wear. People are wearing leggings, athletic wear, just more casually, and whether you've made any connections with that trend and your work historically.
It's very hard to answer, because this kind of legging began to appear, I think it's the 70s, with fluo and something like this.
Yes.
I think this is a different understanding of sports. You choose performance, you choose to make record, to be in competition, and you try to be comfortable in your clothes, or you choose to practice sports to be fit,
yes,
to be for beautiful reason, and you take care of your appearance more. But the problem for me is not to say that you have to wear this or you have to wear it. I don't want necessarily that each player or beach volleyball player wear shorts, but let the girls and the women have the shoes.
Yes.
I think this is the connection.
Yes. That's it's a good question. I play field hockey, and apparently you're allowed to wear shorts, but nobody told me, so the choice is there, but it's not very, only if you make an issue, they'll say, yes, you can wear shorts, but they don't say when you're buying your uniform, they say, this is the uniform, the skirt, and it's very tight, shorts underneath, it's very uncomfortable. They don't say, oh, you can buy shorts or the skirt. So I find that interesting, that they're providing the option, but they're not making it available, making it publicly known.
Yeah, and it was the same for the uniform. I just come back from Singapore, and it was the same in the French school, in the school for the uniform. It's the same.
Yes,
they can wear pants, but it was not proposed.
Yes. Sienna has a question here. Hold on. So, do you believe that governing bodies are responding to athlete advocacy, or are they more concerned with managing reputational risk?
Oh my God, it's too. I don't understand.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, so are governing bodies responding to athletes' concerns? That's the main part. Do you think when athletes are saying we want to wear shorts, are governing bodies listening?
What does it mean, governing?
Like the international federations, or?
Oh, no. Actually, when I speak about the, I couldn't show you again, about the Norwegian handball player, they prefer to wear a short. They ask the permission to the European Federation, and the European Federations say that they are not allowed to do it. So they don't care. And it's just because of mediatization of the situation that the rule changed. I think, no. And to respond to you, I think if women are in federation, it could be better to understand the problem.
Yeah, having more women in leadership, but not just women, for women who are going to pursue men's agenda as well. I think that's something that, we need to talk about more, like that women who have some feminist consciousness, you know, that want to advocate for girls and women and also, you know, gender diverse people, not just women who want a leadership position. Sometimes they'll just go with what the men want.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
but it's very hard to have this point of view.
yes.
Actually, I do this book because I remember me when I was 15-year-old. I was a swimmer, and I think I was in a very, very good club. And my coach lets us choose the swimsuit, the color, the logo, but we never speak about the cut. And when the swimsuit arrived, it was just a disaster.
Yeah, interesting.
But I said nothing because I think I was not allowed to say anything.
Yes.
Because he asked me what I want.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. These are the things, the appearance of freedom. You know, you have choice, but how much choice do we have? It, you know, also there's the issue of body shaming. So on one hand, the uniforms are very tight and, you know, show a lot of body. And yet on the other, in sports like swimming, there was a big report recently around body shaming, you know, like measuring fat and these very old-fashioned ideas. So really a woman's body is never good enough. My colleagues, I'm not sure if you know the work of Holly Thorpe and some of her colleagues, I can send you some work, but they, you know, really trying to investigate the athletic wear, but also some of the ideas around the culture of leanness. So the idea that you have to be quite slim to be good, it's actually not. It's just that's the culture, that's not the biology, but it's become so culturally ingrained, and that's where a lot of young women will underfuel themselves, not eat enough because they want to stay slim because that's the norm in their sport, not because that helps them perform the most. Because if they have to wear a very tight, you know, uniform, then they want to stay slim so they're not shamed for their body. Yeah, that's right. Any more questions?
Thank you.
Oh, they've scrolled down. Yeah, good idea. This is from Didi. She was asking your perspective in the French context of banning burkinis in the beach or the stigmatization of clothing, racially. That's interesting. Yes, tell us about this, along with the eroticization of sportswomen who are white.
It's very hard to speak about it in English because, you know, it's make I'm so uncomfortable about the French politics concerning the Islamic clothes and the veil. Because the first position was to say women couldn't play with veil because it's dangerous. But some brand like Decathlon put veil very secure for practicing sports. And I think we have problem in France with laicity. Can I say like this? Like society. Like society.
Like society. Oh, yes.
No. What is the name in English?
Secular societies? No?
No. Laicity. I don't know how to say in English. It means that to be able to live together, we have not to impose our religion to everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
You know? So it means when I go to teach, I couldn't have, I don't know, a cross or a symbol, a Muslim symbol around my name.
Secularism.
Thank you so much. Okay. But it became a new religion because I met some basketball player just before coming, and it was just a disaster for her. Just think in Paris, in the suburb of Paris, a lot of people come from Arabic country. Some of them just arrived, and we said to the women that we couldn't play with a veil. So what is better for her? To stay at home and not play and not going outside, or to go outside playing with a veil? And it was very, very strong problem, but I'm thinking, you know, this book is included in a collection, and I edited? Yeah, I edited this collection, and I'm looking for someone to speak very correctly about the veil in sport in France. Because there is the national rule, different from the international rule. It was a problem this summer. One of the athletes couldn't go in the opening ceremony if she has a veil. Yeah. So they find a solution. She was allowed to wear a cap. But what does it mean about the control of the body of women? It's still the problem with women.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, I can't answer to the question. It's a long, long discussion.
Yes.
My level in English it's not so good to speak about it.
I'm just reminded of what happened when Serena Williams had issues after birth, and actually for medical reasons afterwards, that also led to a lot of controversy about what tennis players kind of can and cannot wear or should not wear, and how it affects sponsorship. And I recently saw that the Spanish synchronized swimming team had a male for the first time, and they won gold on their performance. And I just wonder if you have instances where maybe when male have been kind of entering the space and having to wear more restrictive clothing, including makeup for synchronous swimming. Do you have any other examples? Because for me, it was the first time that I saw kind of this happening in the Spanish context, like the French context is also very sexualized for women and girls, particularly in these sorts of sports like synchronized swimming, when you get points for your looks. Do you have any other examples where you can feel like when men enter, maybe there's more of an opportunity to open a conversation about that, or it's just wishful hoping?
I'm not sure to understand very correctly, but the swimming, the dance and swimming,
synchronized.
I like to say to the student that the difference of sports, gender marker of sports is because of cultural context. For example, in France in the 18th century, dance was for the man close to the king, and it became a traditional sports for women now, but it depends on the context. But I think this is the only one sport, and there is also some artistic gymnastic. Why is there a difference between the two? This is a real question.
Yeah. But you have found in the past instances where like they have changed anything in this context, or
any more questions? Oh, yeah. So Didi was also talking about tennis. So similar in Wimbledon as well, where the difficulty of women wearing white clothes while menstruating became like national public discourse.
Exactly. I speak about it in my book. It's funny because to explain why the white color is important in tennis, we can speak about the origin, social class origin. Because at the end of the 19th century, playing tennis is a social marker. It means that you are from high level class. And the first courts of tennis were in big hotel or big propriety, big house. And you play tennis at the same time as you drink tea. You know, so you have to do tennis and to come back for the party, the tea party, so you don't have to be sweat. And a dress of color, it can be very useful to see that you are sweat. So we decide to use the white for playing tennis. And that's right, it's very, on Wimbledon, your shoes had to be white, included at the bottom. But the law changed for the menstruation, and it was because of a woman. I think it was 2 years ago, when women are allowed to wear underwear dark because we are not comfortable about it. But you know, speaking about menstruation in sport is quite very new, and it's quite amazing because sport is body, and to have menstruation is just natural. But we never speak about it.
Yeah.
It's new. Yeah.
Yes. I think it's quite interesting as women's role in sports changing from just participants, as you spoke about, you know, it's just to competition world records, then people are concerned.
Yeah.
Before it didn't matter. I mean, in high school, you know, you get your period and we're going to use a tampon, a little bit of discussion, but now there is a pathway for becoming an athlete. So, yeah, it's interesting, the economic, cultural shifts that then transform science and, you know, the topics, what topics can be studied. Are there more questions? There are some sports like ultimate frisbee. Do you know ultimate frisbee?
No.
So I think it's American, but it's quite popular in Australia. It's like frisbee, but very competitive.
Yeah.
And it's mixed teams, and they wear like very cool clothes, you know. I'll try and see if I can find mixed ultimate.
Yeah, okay.
Frisbee uniform. I mean, that's men and women together. Images. I think they used to wear more like colorful things like this. Yeah. So yeah,
there is only one uniform.
I think so.
Unisex.
Unisex, yeah.
Great.
And another interesting thing that you might be interested in is roller derby uniforms, because they can be very hypersexual or not. Like historically, they would wear like fishnet stockings and whatever you want. If you want to wear shorts, you can wear shorts. If you want to wear stockings, so hypersexualized, or else more athletic. So it's an interesting cultural shift as well. It's moving more towards the athletic shorts, singlets, but there are still some people who want to embrace the kind of parodies, you know, making fun of wearing fishnet stockings and, you know, pushing people over. So, yeah, I think there's probably a place to explore that too. And there's, French roller derby is growing, and it's been incorporated into kind of local government and council structures. So, yeah, it's another area.
Thank you.
That's okay. Are there any more questions from the audience? I was wondering if everybody could turn their cameras on for a minute, just so we can get a bit of a view of everybody, if that's okay, just if you're comfortable. And then I can, yes, when I grab my phone, I'm going to take a photo. Yes, thank you very much. You? Oh, yes, that's a good idea. And thank you for coming. Oh, that's okay. Yeah. For coming. And if there's no more questions, we will stop, because why not? And